Hello and welcome to a review of Veronica Mars. I'm Paul.
I'm Dave.
And this week we are discussing the episode Postgame Mortem. This episode originally aired February 13th, 2007. Number one song in America, I'm not even going to ask you because it's still Irreplaceable by Beyonce.
Yeah.
For video games, there's not a ton this week. So February 12th, if you had a PSP, you could pick up The Warriors.
Supposed yay. Still a case of seeing this everywhere. Supposedly heard things about it, but just never played it. And also a case supposedly never watched the movie.
The game's supposed to be really good, and it was one of those things that at the time I was like, why is Rockstar making this game about this 70s movie? It was such a weird choice, I felt at the time, but apparently it's really good. Also on February 12th, if you had a Nintendo Wii, you could pick up Wii Play.
And very much so, people did play.
Yes, this was just a collection of mini games, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it was super egregious in comparison to other particular things, but after Wii Sports was set to hit after giving it away for free, they got a whole bunch of stuff going on from there, and it was supposedly reasonable, but I vaguely remember that there was the one or two of them that people were like, why does this exist?
Fair enough. I feel like that was a lot of the Wii generation with Nintendo, was hey, we can just make a bunch of money selling a collection of minigames.
Yeah.
February 13th, if you had a Game Boy Advance, PS2, or a PSP, you could pick up Ghost Rider. Because that movie was coming out soon.
Yeah. Again, I think it was the case of somewhat understanding, but not really knowing of it until this movie kind of came out, that supposedly it was somewhat decent, but there was still some particular discourse of people enjoying the characters concerned of them rebooting the series or bringing out the new movie.
So it looks like the Game Boy Advance game is the one that reviewed the best, although it didn't get amazing reviews. The movie is sure a movie.
Well, it has... Oh, shoot. The name is completely escaping me of the actor of the lead character.
It's Nicolas Cage plays Johnny.
Yeah. Which, again, in most cases, there's the particular roles that he can manage to do fairly well, and you think in some cases, but there's also the slight case of it was just not a decent enough year, I don't think.
Yeah, I don't know if Nicolas Cage would be my first choice to play Johnny Blaze. But moving along, February 13th, if you had a Nintendo DS, PS2, PS3, Wii, or Xbox 360, you could pick up Disney's Kim Possible Global Gemini. Because apparently they released another Kim Possible game.
Because it was a popular series at the time.
I guess. Also on February 13th, if you had a PSP, you could pick up Ratchet and Clank Size Matters.
So it's a slight case of, though, somewhat being interested in the Ratchet and Clank series. I only went so far, never bothered diving into the series at around that point.
I've played a couple of them, but I haven't played this one, I don't think.
From what I vaguely remember, it was starting to get into the decline before the reboot happened.
Yeah, okay. Moving along, number one film in America this week, Dave, and I'm not even going to ask you what it is, because of course it's Ghost Rider.
Yeah.
It certainly was a movie that came out. Anyway, let's get on with the episode. So, the Hearst basketball coach, Tom Barry, berates his team, including Wallace, I think it's during halftime of their game, and the coach's son quits as a result. One of Logan's teachers tells Dick that Logan must start attending classes or he'll fail. Dick sneaks into Logan's suite for the hotel staff and finds it a mess. Veronica works at Mars Investigations for the day and walks in to find the coach's family in the office as the coach has died. We also find that Veronica takes a bite of a piece of toast that Keith had left for her, and he says that if you eat any of this breakfast, you have to come to the office and help with billing today. Which I quite enjoyed. The son who quit, Josh, is the prime suspect, but the family suspects Mel Stoltz, one of the PCH bikers. Dick tries to set up Logan on a double date before realizing that one of the twins is actually 11 years old. Dick and the older sister leave, leaving Logan to babysit the other sister, Heather, although Logan just goes to bed. Keith talks to Mel Stoltz, who says that he was on a plane at the time of Tom's death. Dick calls Logan and says he is in Las Vegas, leaving Logan to babysit Heather for another day. Weevil organizes a meeting between Veronica and the PCHers, and the new leader says that he would not kill someone over a bad car like the coach's vehicle. Mason, one of the team's former star basketball players, testifies to Sheriff Lamb that Josh is responsible for his father's death. The sheriff arrests Josh, and Veronica learns that the coach's car was found in the water. Logan and Heather begin to actually enjoy each other's company, specifically because they end up playing Mario Kart Double Dash together, which will make anybody friends, or bitter enemies. It really depends.
Yeah, it's always a very tricky slope.
It is. Keith speaks to Mindy O'Dell, stating that he will continue to look for Dean Cyrus O'Dell's killer. Veronica questions Mason, but he ends up angrily walking away. Veronica and Keith recuperate, and Keith says that Cyrus's car was taken out within the time frame of the murder. Heather sends a radio request to play a special song from Logan to Veronica, while Veronica interrogates the hotel staff. One of them says that he overheard two men yelling in the room. Veronica and Logan have a chance meeting in the elevator. Hank Landry tells Veronica that she has successfully completed the first part of the application for the FBI internship with the help of a recommendation from the dean. Keith questions Mrs. O'Dell heavily, and she subsequently fires him from the case, although he says he will not stop investigating. Logan visits Josh in jail, who suspects Mason. Dick returns, getting a divorce from the older sister. They technically got married, and they're in the middle of getting a divorce. And Logan and Heather remain friends and agree to play Mario Kart Fridays at 4 p.m., but I don't think Mario Kart Double Dash had online, so I don't know how that's going to work.
There might be some specific scrutiny. It was something they were supposedly messing with, but also kind of the case of the multitude of attachments that you need to get.
Yes. In Veronica's criminology class, she is arrested for aiding Josh to escape from prison because she gave him some cookies that were peanut butter, and she didn't know he was allergic to peanuts. All right, so that is the episode. Any thoughts on this one, Mr. David?
It's kind of an interesting case that it was interesting enough with the mystery case of all the particular characters and the couple avenues and whatnot that they took with it, especially the scene with Veronica going with the coach's son to the cliff to double check with things, and just playing that slight scene of the guy coming up behind Veronica up toward the cliff of like, oh no, this is supposedly going to be bad, but just playing it for the slight bit of tension and whatnot there to find it from there. It was interesting and a little surprise within the episode. But then also just the case of, God, that one player is a dick, just with causing issues and other sorts of stuff. Though he also got his comeuppance when the son went a little crazy and kind of kidnapped him and stuck him in the back of a trunk to try to figure out the things. Yeah.
Yes. So I quite enjoyed this episode. I also really like the relationship between Logan and Heather. It's very sweet.
Oh my gosh, the B plot for the entire episode was absolutely amazing. On the one hand, I was intrigued just with how Logan was taking things with the breakup and whatnot, and how he was sort of sitting with things. And then Dick, of all people, coming in to assist with the couple things from there. But then, of course, also Dick being a dick and going around doing his own thing. But yeah, it was just mildly awesome with Logan having to play babysitter with a young girl and all the shenanigans that she got up into. The get him to play a song on the radio for Veronica. She starts to hear it, walks over, and you hear it. It's like, oh man, will this supposedly work? She turns it off immediately on the radio when she's investigating with the person. It's like, nah, that tracks. But nevertheless, it was still cute. It was
Yes.
just like, ah.
Yes. I'm going to give you a minor spoiler. Unfortunately, Heather will not make another appearance, and I kind of wish she would pop up another time or two.
Would be definitely interesting, but it's also the slight case of, despite the fact that it was interesting and fun, it's kind of the case of how easy would it be to bring her back into the story without either having to be pushed in another silly situation sort of episode for the character, and or putting her into the worst situation possible, which is not exactly great for young children's.
Yeah, no, I just mean like you could have done something like even just like a small scene where she's like playing Mario Kart with Logan again or something. Like, I just think
Something
that would
like
be
that,
kind of fun.
something like that.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah, with small cameo.
yeah. So that's about it for this episode. There's no major real revelations in this particular one. Next week, we will be discussing an episode called Mars Bars. Some big stuff is going to happen in this episode. This is going to be basically the conclusion of the death of Tom Barry, the basketball coach. Veronica
Yeah.
and Keith are going to search for his missing son Josh while investigating a variety of alternative suspects. In addition, they continue to question Mindy O'Dell and Hank Landry with regards to the death of Dean Cyrus O'Dell. Meanwhile, Logan, Parker, Mac, and Bronson attend a scavenger hunt for Valentine's Day.
Since, despite the fact that it'd be interesting enough to have Veronica involved with that sort of story, also kind of the case of probably not in the mood, just with how busy this episode is sounding.
Yeah, and there's going to be a fun little relationship that's going to develop out of this. So it'll be good.
Oh, joy.
Alrighty. If there's nothing else, I've been Paul.
And I've been Dave.